Hey everyone, today we are diving into an important topic in MySQL, deadlocks, what they are and how they happen. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth tech tutorials. It really helps support the channel and keeps the content coming. Now let's get started. Okay, deadlock situation can happen when we have, for example, two transactions and there is a conflict between each other. For example, the transaction 1 holding a lock on record ID 50 and transaction 2 holding a lock on record ID 60. And at the same time, transaction 1 requesting a lock on the record ID 60, which is already locked by transaction 2. And the transaction 2 requesting a lock on record ID 50, which also already locked by transaction 1. And as you see, it's a circle. And the database engine detect this circle situation and throw a deadlock exception. In deadlock exception, of course, not both transactions will get failed. However, the database engine is smart enough to detect which is for example, the less a priority transaction. For example, if transaction 1 is easy to be killed or roll back, so the database engine will take this decision to kill this transaction and let the transaction 2 to complete. And vice versa. So at the end, it's up to the database engine to detect the situation and take the right decision. Okay, so now let's see the deadlock situation in a practical example. Okay, let's go to the database. Here we have a simple database. I have a simple table, users, with two columns, ID and name. Okay, to playing with multiple transactions, I prefer to go to the MySQL terminal. So here I am in the MySQL path. I will call the CMD and now MySQL -u root. I am establishing a connection -p test. Okay, so now I have my connection, my first connection. So let's consider this as a transaction A. Now I want a new connection, MySQL -u root -b test. And this is my transaction B. Okay. So now we will try to simulate the example here in the image. Same example. Okay, so let's start the first transaction by start transaction or by begin. Same. Okay. Now I will select start from users where ID equal 1. But it's not enough. We have to hold a lock. As you see in the image, transaction 1 holding a lock on this record. So now to hold lock on this record, I should end the statement by for update. So in this way, I will have an exclusive lock on this record. Okay. Now to check if there is really a lock on this record, I will go to the database to track that. Then we have a nice table called Deadlocks. It's existed in performance schema in MySQL. Now I will select from it and check the data. Okay, so now as you see, we have a data related to that lock we have made. It's exclusive lock and this lock on a record and the record ID is 1 and it's granted. So now we have really a lock and the transaction ID is this. Okay, now everything is fine, all set. Now I will open a new transaction, begin. I will use here begin, it's same, start transaction or begin. Okay, now select start from users where ID equal 2 for update. Okay, nice. I will go again to the database to check the table, run selection. Okay, cool. Now we have data related to the second block. As you see, exclusive block related to the second transaction where the ID is 2. And it's of course granted. Okay. So now we have two exclusive lock on different rows. Let's back to the first transaction now and trying to hold a lock on the record ID 2. So it's same the image here. Now we holding a lock here for the transaction 1 and holding a lock for the transaction 2. So now we are in the requesting step. Okay. So here in the same transaction, of course, I will select star from users where the ID is 2. For update, of course, it's very important. It's very important for requesting a lock. Okay, so we already know that record ID 2, it's already hold a lock from the transaction 2, as you see. Okay, so now what's gonna happen? Of course, the transaction 1 logically should be stuck. Okay, let's check. Okay, so it's clearly stuck here, and we know already why. Let's go again to the database to check the table. So as you see here, for the first transaction, we have a new row, and this row is related to the record ID 2, and it's related to exclusive lock. But guess what? Look status. It's waiting. It's not granted. So here's the idea. It's not granted because it's stuck. It's waiting because already transaction 2 holding a lock, an exclusive lock. I'm stressing on this exclusive because if the lock was sharing lock, it will not be stuck. You can test it yourself. Okay. So now let's to do the opposite here. Select star from users where ID equal 1 and for update. What will happen? Oh, before that, look, the lock wait time here exceeded. So because the default lock wait timeout, it has been exceeded, of course. So let's repeat the operation and be fast now. Okay, same operation. Of course, it will be stuck again. And now we will execute this, the opposite one. We will requesting a lock on the ID 1, which already locked from the transaction 1. And guess what? Oh, we have a deadlock. Of course, deadlock situation here. So as you see, the database engine detect deadlock found when trying to get locked. Yes. And the result of this deadlock exception is rolling back. So the MySQL roll back the transaction. And as you see, if we go to the database again, you will see the transaction 2 roll back. And the lock on the ID 2 will be released from the transaction 2 and will be, of course, granted to the transaction 1 because already transaction 1 requesting that lock. As you see, yeah, same transaction here, yeah, obviously. Okay, so granted. Okay, so as I have mentioned in the beginning, the database engine detected the deadlock situation and rolled back the transaction. But here, why the database decided that he will roll back this transaction, not the first transaction, because both transactions are same weight for the database engine. So there's no main difference between these transactions. But for example, if the transaction 2 was expensive to kill and transaction 1 is easy to be killed from the database engine, of course, the database engine will decide to kill the transaction 1 and leave the transaction 2 to hold the lock on this row. Okay. So as you see here, the transaction 1 now working fine. Yes. So that's it. I hope you got it. And I hope all things clear for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and see you in the next one. Bye.